Hello everyone. As we know, Michael Jordan fans are the worst NBA fans. Not only that, they are the worst sport fans in history. I work very hard to give you guys content, so make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and support the channel. Now, let's get into the video. Here are 20 lies that the media tells to Michael Jordan fans to make it seem like Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time, and that nobody could ever touch Michael Jordan. Jordan didn't play with great players like Steph Curry and LeBron James and Kevin Durant did to win championships. Next, Jordan never complained to the refs. Next, Jordan never gave up on his team. Next, Jordan never played for a super team. Next, Jordan had the most and the deepest desire to win and compete on a high level than any other NBA player in history. Next, Jordan is the most athletic player of all time. Next, Jordan was a good teammate. Next, Jordan is the hardest working player of all time. Next, Jordan played the hardest and outcompeted any player of all time. Next, Jordan was the best player on the team. Next, Jordan impacted the team in a positive way more than any player of all time and on that Bulls team. Next, Jordan was the greatest dunker of all time. Next, Jordan had the best moves. Next, Jordan wasn't friends with his competitors on the court when they played each other. Next, any player that plays today would struggle in the 90s because it's more physical than today's NBA. Next, Jordan's Wizards years don't count. Next, LeBron isn't clutch. Next, Stephen Curry ruined the NBA. Next, the 90s was tougher and more harder to play in than today. Next, Jordan will average 40 points in today's NBA. So these scumbag, Michael Jordan fans in the media, they really, really love just to create these lies about Michael Jordan that aren't true. It's all propaganda just to make Michael Jordan seem like the GOAT when he's not. There's no way that a player can be the number one NBA player of all time, but there are multiple players that do things better than him. And also, you can't compare two players who play two different positions together. That's impossible. You can't compare LeBron James and Michael Jordan together. You can't compare Magic Johnson and LeBron James together. You can't compare Bill Russell and Kevin Durant together. You can't compare Steph Curry and Wilt Chamberlain together. These guys play different positions, and they were asked to do different things by their teams. They don't do the same thing. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant were asked to do different things on their team. Kobe's main thing he needed to do, he was score. He also had to make plays for his team. He had to lead his team out there on the court. He had to play defense. He had to do a lot of things that Michael Jordan didn't have to do. Jordan had to score. He didn't have to playmate because he had Ron Harper and other guys, other guards who could do that for him. All he had to do was score, play a bit of defense, but the majority, they just needed him to score. Just scoring does not make a player great. Doing one thing does not make you great. Doing two things does not make you great. Michael Jordan, he doesn't do everything. He does not do everything that to make, in my assumption, to make a basketball player the greatest of all time. He doesn't get a lot of block shots. He doesn't get all the steals. He doesn't get all the assists. He doesn't make all the plays. He doesn't make all the shots. He doesn't shoot a high clip from 3-point range. He doesn't shoot a very, very high percentage from field goal range. He doesn't do everything. And Michael Jordan didn't do everything the best. He didn't do everything the best. So why is he considered the number one player of all time if he didn't do everything the best? The rings don't matter. They are great players. Players can be great no matter what. Players can be great no matter what. Like Tracy McGrady, very very great basketball player, probably even better than Michael Jordan. Could shoot, score, really good defender, very athletic. Never made it out of the first round of his career. Allen Iverson only made it to one finals in his career. Never again. He went back to the finals. So what I'm trying to say is these players are great and probably even more greater than Michael Jordan, but they didn't win rings. Karl Malone, he was probably a better player than Michael Jordan, but he didn't win a ring. That doesn't mean that just because Michael Jordan won a ring, doesn't mean that he's better than another player. The team won a ring. Michael Jordan's team won a ring, not just him. It's not just one guy doing things. There's 4 other guys out there on the court. If Jordan's all getting all the respect and everything, the other guys deserve it because they are also the main reasons why the Bulls won the championship. The coaching is technically the coach is the greatest player of all time because he was calling all the shots. Technically, Scottie Pippen is better than Michael Jordan because he was also making an impact on the team, a very big impact on the team, probably more than Michael Jordan. So that's not how things work. Just because a player wins a ring does not mean that he's better than the entire NBA. Just because he wins a lot of rings does not mean he's better than any player in existence. Then you have all these guys in the media, Skip Bayless, Stephen A. Smith, Kendrick Perkins, all these old guys saying that Michael Jordan's the greatest basketball player of all time, but not really proving that. They just show his stats. They get stories from other players who played against Michael Jordan, and they use that as the reason to why Jordan's the GOAT. Stories and statistics don't mean that a player is the greatest of all time. And I feel like if you're saying that Michael Jordan, if you call any player the greatest of all time, you are disrespecting a lot of legends who, in their career, probably did better than the player that you were listing and had more success in the NBA, most likely, than the player that you're listing as the greatest of all time. There are like a lot of players that have a better resume and that did better than Michael Jordan in the NBA than what Jordan did. There's a lot of them. But just because he won 6 rings and he scored a lot of points, that makes him the GOAT. That is not fair to Bill Russell, who won 11 rings on the Boston Celtics. That is not fair to Wilt Chamberlain, who has hundreds of records in the NBA today and scored 100 points in the game. That is not respectful to LeBron James, the all-time leading scorer, won 4 rings, 4 MVPs, multiple All-Stars, multiple All-NBA teams. That is not fair to him. That is not fair to Kobe Bryant, who won 5 rings, an MVP, 2 Finals MVP awards. It's not fair. And multiple All-Star appearances. That is not fair to him. It isn't. It's not fair to no NBA player. So, when you're thinking about who's the number 1 player of all time, and you're watching the media, ESPN, whatever, think about what these people are saying. Because most of them do not know their NBA. They watch the NBA casually, and they probably haven't sat down and watched a full NBA game or multiple full NBA games in the season in like 30 to 20 years. So when you listen to these people talking, just think about what they are saying. Think about their resume. Think about your own opinions of the basketball players. Just because they're on the media, on ESPN, on FS1, on ABC, whatever, NBA TV, NBA on TNT, just because they are on these big platforms doesn't mean they know everything. There are other people who are on YouTube who, just a normal person who are actually around basketball, NBA players, coaches, all those guys. They know basketball more than the majority of these people who are talking the game on the TV that should not be qualified to talk basketball. And there are multiple people deserving of that spot to be able to, who know basketball on a high level and love talking about it, that deserve the spots that these talking heads have in the NBA. So when you're thinking about who to go to this, just sit down and just think about this. Because just think about it. There can be no number one NBA player of all time. No player is better than no player can be ranked over another player in the all-time debate. It can't. There's no way that Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time. So you're basically saying that he's better than an entire all-time team like the Boston Celtics in the 80s or the or the 60 Celtics. And another point I want to say is, just because a player beats another player in the playoffs doesn't mean that he's better or the other guy's better than the other player. That's what I want to say. And just because another player scores a lot of points and the other guy doesn't score a lot of points doesn't mean that the guy who scored a lot of points is better than the other player. So, thank you for watching my video. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. And if you are a Michael Jordan fan and you disagree with what I had to say, you can come on my show, or you can come on Galaxy's show, and I'll debate you there. You can send me an email, and you can do it like a podcast over the phone or over LinkedIn or something like that, and we can debate. But other than that, as I always say, as Galaxy always says, Michael Jordan fans are the worst sport fans. And not only that, they are the worst fans for celebrity in general of all time. Thank you.